Good afternoon, everybody. I am going to kind of take the waiting room off here so I don't have to keep listening to it chime in. Welcome to this Zoom meeting. You got myself, Adam Ritchie. I'm the Director of Client Partnerships for Purpose Point. Lisa Opporutnity is on the call as well. She is our Director of Communications. Kurt David and Davin Salvagno are joining us as well. And then Scott Moeller is representing Chase Creative. They are our partners on this project to bring to you the virtual side of the Purpose Summit 2021. So just wanted to kind of welcome everybody and kick things over to Scott. I don't know, Davin, if you have anything you'd like to say, mention.
Yeah. So just want to say thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. Thank you, Adam, Scott, and Lisa for pulling this together. Really excited about the Hopin platform, really excited about our partnership with Chase Creative, who have been absolutely amazing in the last couple of weeks and coming together and helping us prepare for what is likely to be one of the largest gatherings in Michigan this year, in person and virtually. So thank you for everyone who made today possible. Thank you to all our guests who are joining us, and we're excited to have you participate in this year's Purpose Summit.
Thanks.
Well,
Evan.
thank you for having us. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen again. So you should now be seeing the registration page of the Hopin platform. If you scroll down on the registration page, you will see an area where sponsors can be highlighted. If you keep scrolling further down, you'll get through an event schedule. And then down here, I only created a single sample booth for this demo event, but this is where you'll see a listing of all the virtual exhibit booths that will be available for the event for anyone who registers and signs up to buy booth space. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the event now. And that did take a quick moment to get us into the event, but this is the reception area. This is what attendees will first see when they enter the event. Again, you've got an area for a schedule, for a description of the event, and then once again, you have an area for sponsors to be highlighted here in the reception area. The event has a main stage area. This is where general sessions will be broadcast from. What Hopin calls sessions is where the breakout sessions will be broadcast from. There is a networking area which is available for one-on-one networking. I don't remember if Adam or Davin, if you'll be using the networking or not. And if not, this area won't show up to your attendees. But if you have decided to use it, this is what it will look like. And then the area that you are all interested in is the virtual exhibit booths. And like I said earlier, I only created a single sample booth for the sake of this demo. But this is where all the exhibit booths will show up. We do have the ability to make booths different sizes. We have the ability to make the booths show up in a different order. I'm going to go ahead and enter our sample booth real quick. And right here as a placeholder, we have... I'm sorry, what was that?
I think it was just some background noise, Scott.
Okay. So in these virtual exhibit booths, your booth can be hosted by an actual person. And then as a backup, your booth can be hosted by either a video from YouTube or Vimeo or by a slide deck from Google Slides. And that is what your attendees will see in your booth if you do not have a person at your booth. So if you've got some sort of marketing material, sizzle reel, or any information you want to pass on to the attendees as a way of attracting attention to your organization, you can have that sitting here while you don't have a person at the booth. When you do have a person at the booth, then you can be interacting on video chat with anyone who comes into your booth. You can have complete control of who you allow to share their video and audio. On the right-hand side, you've got a couple places to describe who you are, both a short version and a long version of who you are. If you've got some sort of brief discount or promotion that you want to highlight, there's a space for it on the right side here. And then, of course, website traffic is important to a lot of organizations. So there's also a place for us to link to your organization's website. Within your booth, you have the ability to have chat. You could do polls. That's a rarely used feature, but you do have that ability. I suspect most people will be using chat a lot. And then if you want to get a sense of who's in your booth at any given time, you can click on people and you can see who's in your booth. You can schedule one-on-one meetings with anyone who came to your booth. And that can be independent of your chats within your booth. And it can be at any time while the event is active and live. So that's basically our rundown of what the Hopin platform looks like, what your virtual booth would look like. And Adam or Davin, if I can turn it back to you.
There was a quick question from Kimberly Harris about .mov files allowed within the booth.
The way the Hopin booth works, you don't actually upload a video file to the booth, but you rather are linking to an existing public video that's on either YouTube or Vimeo.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to share a specific video, they could upload it to their YouTube channel, and then we could just link it from there.
Yep.
Perfect. And then the offer section in there is really that opportunity for the people that are exhibiting to put the call to actions in there. Whether it be the reach out to the website or fill in some more information, correct?
Yeah, it can be a very brief description. You only get, I believe, 60 characters there, so you do need to keep it brief, but it can be a good place for a call to action. Call us, get 10% off, mention Purpose Summit or something like that. Whatever is important to you.
Okay. And I think the biggest piece of this, or the most powerful piece of this, is actually that live opportunity, right? So people can actually have a representative from your company live on the other side of the screen. So when people come into your booth, they can actually have a conversation, one-on-one conversation, or a one-on-many conversations if you've got multiple people that come into a booth all at once, right?
That is correct. And you can have up to 10 video chat people in the booth at any one time.
Okay, great.
Hey, Scott, I don't know if you have a visual to be able to see this, but can you, there's some people are asking questions about times that booths are available. So this is a combined in-person and virtual experience. So obviously for those that are attending in person, the event is basically an 8 to 5 event, and the booths will be available all day from 8 to 5. Similarly, for those that are attending virtually, I know that the Hopin platform has the capacity that when you are watching whatever session it is, regardless of whether it's the general session or breakout sessions, and I know you've only created one sample booth for this presentation, but do you have a shot of what it might look like, or can you walk through what it might look like where the different logos of the different exhibitors are listed basically on the left-hand side of the general session that we're watching, and how if there is a live person in that booth, it has like the little live box above their logo so that you know which booths have a live person in it, which booths don't have a live person in it. And so, because we all know that there'll be people who are watching a general session or watching a breakout session, and maybe there's a part that doesn't pertain to them, and they might want to venture over into the expo, and then they might want to come back into the session that they're watching and kind of free flow. Could you show off some of that capability?
Yeah. So here in the expo section, when you're not in a booth, you'll get the logos and names of all the booths, and up in the corner, you will get that that red live icon that'll show that a person actually is in the booth. Over here on the left-hand side is where you would navigate between, say, the stage, and this is where the stage general session would be, and sessions. You know, if you're in breakout sessions, and this is just a single demo of a breakout session, and say you're in a breakout session that just doesn't appeal to you and you want to check out who's in the expo booths, you just click right there to the expo booth. It doesn't kick you out of the event or anything like that. You can always go back to where you were, and you can start exploring the expo booths and looking at those materials or interacting with anyone who might be live in that booth.
And at the same time, I know it's kind of hard to see this just because there's this line that's like on the right-hand side. It says chat, polls, people on the event to the right. Regardless of where you're navigating, whether you're in the general session or in a breakout session or in the expo, this chat and polls and people column on the right-hand side is continuing to flow, right? So if people are saying, hey, I just popped over into this booth, come meet me there, or there could be actually the live person who's in the expo booth could actually pop something into the chat and say, you know, hey, going live in the Go Beyond booth in 5 minutes, meet me there, or whatever. So that as sessions are closing, exhibitors could actually put messages in the general event chat box as a call to action, almost like an announcement if you were in person, to call you over to their booths.
Correct. And if I right click on this booth, I can copy the link to it. You know, say I'm really am the marketing person from Chase Creative, operating our booth. And then now I go over to the stage and I come to the stage chat. I can right click and paste that link. And now that link is in the chat. And I can type, you know, come see our booth over there in the stage chat at any time. So that's always available. If people are in the general session, they'll be in the stage chat. There's also this event tab, and you can do the same thing there in the general event chat. And that can be an opportunity for you to promote your booth, especially if the content pertains to, you know, what you have to offer.
Right. So you could have someone technically who's not in the booth live all day long. They could have someone in the booth specifically maybe between 12 and 3, the core expo hours of the summit, and then maybe during the general sessions they have, you know, videos in there, whatever, and then they can make an announcement and say, hey, we're going to have a live person in the booth at this time, or we're doing a giveaway, or whatever the case is, in these different chat boxes.
Absolutely.
Awesome. We have other questions that maybe we want to field at this point in time, or is there other capabilities of Hopin that you want to show off?
Michelle asked if you'll still be able to hear the session as you're looking at the virtual booths. I don't know if you want to address that, Scott, or not.
Yeah, that is one of the limitations. If you go to the expo booths, you do leave the stage, so you can't do both at the same time in the same window. But what you can do to get around that Again, right click on Expo booths while you're in the general session. Open the link in a new tab.
Very good.
So that way you can switch to that tab. You can explore the booth and you can still hear the general session in the other tab in the background.
Great. And the other side of that too is all of the sessions will be recorded. So if there's something you feel like you missed or you'd like to circle back on something, you'll have access to all of the sessions 30 days after the event. So we're trying to eliminate the fear of missing out for for most. So
Awesome.
what other questions are you? You can either just unmute yourself and come on, or feel free to keep typing things in the chat box.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, Dwayne.
What's the process? Let's say we have someone live in our booth for, let's just say 2 hours. And then we're like, okay, that's enough. Let's go show just our promo video for that point. Is there a switching option within the booth where we can go live and then not live?
Yes. Let me quickly go back to my demo booth. And if you are the host of your booth, you've been assigned as the moderator, there's this toggle to turn on live sessions button right here. So if you want to actually be in your booth, you want to be the face of your organization, you can click that. You can start sharing your audio and video and be in your booth. And then when you are done and you say goodbye to everyone that's in your booth, you can simply turn that off, stop sharing your video, and then the booth will automatically revert to whatever video you have as your backup post.
Perfect.
Great question, Dwayne.
Great question. Thanks. What else?
We can field any questions related to the summit whatsoever. It doesn't have to just be to the virtual booths.
Yeah, so on that point, I had a conversation with Michelle this morning, and just to kind of touch on a few things with respect to the summit and the exposure that any of the exhibitors or sponsors are going to get. It's really targeted at companies and organizations, or who we're trying to bring to the summit. Right now, the demographics are showing that it's a lot of executive level and C-suite individuals that will be attending. And then the second category right after that is actually entry level. So if there's anybody that's interested in recruiting or trying to promote their business from a recruitment standpoint, would be another good option. If you are in person, I've got Greg, you got something you want to say? Sorry, I just saw the hand raised there.
Yeah, no, along with the, you said executive level, a few weeks ago, Davin, you had shared with me different industries, and I think there were a certain percent that were in the financial services. Is that information going to get populated again, so we have an idea of sort of industry allocation, if you will?
Yep, we pull that up actually every single Monday. And so could I share my screen really quick? Can you, Adam, can you give me the ability to share my screen? So
yeah, I can. Let me, I've got it pulled up here too, if you want me to just.
Yeah, if you just want to pull it up on yours, that's fine.
Yep. So Scott, I'm going to take over here. Let me get rid of some things here. So if we look at the event itself, the Purpose Summit. So right now we have 3,674 people that have raised their hand to say that they're interested in attending. If we look at the analytics behind that, Give it just a second to populate here. So
Okay.
here's the seniority level.
Okay.
Can you, Adam, can you change it to
Oh yeah, hang on a
a
second.
year?
You're right.
That's
Yep.
just the last, that's just the last month.
Yeah, yeah.
365.
Yeah. So
That's still just the last month.
sorry about that.
Hit last 365. There you go.
All right, so executive director, salesperson. So it looks like this is based on job function. So if you look at seniority level again, high senior level, and then entry level is the next one down. CXO is the next one down. So a lot of decision makers. And then Greg, to your point on the industry, here's the industry breakdown.
And this is, of course, of the entire 3,600, not just the in-person.
That is correct.
Beautiful. Yeah, hospital and healthcare. Wow.
Yep. So just to kind of touch on, if anybody's interested about the in-person perspective, I've got a map here. Hang on just a second. Any and all information, most of the information can be found on the website. Let me pull up this map to show everybody kind of what the streets look like. I guess while this is coming up, does anybody else have any questions that we can field?
No, I guess, Adam, even coming off of our conversation this morning, which was incredibly helpful, super excited about what we're embarking on. But for all of you in regards to the Purpose Summit, from an exhibitor or a sponsorship perspective, we each know probably what each individual company wants to come with or potentially share with the participants. But what do you all see as a really successful, I mean, I guess, what are your expectations maybe of the booths and the sponsorships so that in creating the best possible event, what we would be doing and what we would bring as exhibitors and booth holders? I don't know what.
Oh, Michelle, I'm trying to understand your question a little bit better. Are you saying for the attendees
Yes.
coming in person, what would it be good for exhibitors to have, both to provide a great experience while also representing their brand? Well,
Davin, for some reason you said that a lot better than I did this morning. Yes. And your vision for, hey, at the end of this thing going, wow, these people really hit the mark and we had the phenomenal, right, presenters, we created the space, and here's what the exhibitors and the booth showed up with.
Sure. So I'll answer that really quick, and then I'll kick it back over to Adam, who can walk through the street map that he pulled up. But that's a great conversation with the map on the screen, because as you can see, this is downtown Mount Clemens, which Adam will walk through in a minute. And there's designating lines that will have exhibitor space and designated lines that will have food tents and some other things that'll be happening along the downtown streets of Mount Clemens for 3 days that'll be closed off. For those who are in person and are bringing a booth, they are outside tents. So if you think of the an old-fashioned farmer's market, if you will, where you show up and they have tape on the streets so that you can set up your 10 by 10 tent and different things that you would want. That's exactly what this is. There is not going to be electric and water hookups, as this city's a 200-year-old city without those amenities on the streets. But of course, we have some exhibitors that are bringing their own generator. We have some exhibitors that are bringing their own, gallons of water and whatnot. I mean, there'll be coffee and other exhibitors that'll be nearby and food stuff and that. But for those of you who are setting up a tent to represent your business, handouts are huge. We will have swag bags. So if there's things that you're going to want in the swag bags, we'll be given direction on, when to bring those things, and we can put them in the swag bags, or you can have them at your booth itself. But I would say, to Adam's point, there's really two camps that are looking to attend this. You have senior level leaders and decision makers that are really trying to re-engage their workforce, trying to re-engage their market, trying to re-engage their customers, and staying relevant from a purpose standpoint. So for those booths, you want to bring stuff that really talks about what your brand purpose is and why you exist as a company and how you're making a difference in society and those types of things. So you don't want to just be offering products and services. You want to talk about, in whatever collateral you're providing, who you are, what you do, why you do it, and why someone should want to do business with you. And if you're looking to recruit employees, why they should come work for you. On the flip side of that, as Adam mentioned, the second largest attendance are entry-level people. We know that a massive amount of people either voluntarily or involuntarily left their jobs in this last year. I mean, we've never seen a year, obviously, like what we've all walked through. And 75% of people who have either left their job voluntarily or involuntarily are taking a job for less pay with more meaning. So again, if you're looking to have people be a part of your organization or do business with you in some capacity, you want to be communicating through whatever collateral it is that you have, whether that's paper or whether that's whatever it is that you have at your booth. You want to make sure that that articulates, here is not just who we are and what we offer, but here's why you should do business with us, or here's why you should come work for us. That is critical to make sure that you are able to answer those questions at your booth, in person or virtually. That question applies to those that are looking to have a virtual booth as well. Adam, you want to talk about the map?
Awesome. Thanks, Devin. Yeah, no. So for those who are going to be in person, I just wanted to kind of walk through this map very quickly. Everything that is in red is the areas that we have designated for exhibitor booths. So there are two sides of this street that are headed back towards Main Street in downtown Mount Clemens, from Walnut Street to Main Street. We've got to leave a fire lane in between. So the idea behind there is we're basically taking up the parking spaces that are along the side of the street. So access to the booths will actually be from the sidewalk side, not from the middle of the street, just so we can maintain that fire lane. And then along this section here, where the Emerald Theater is, so all of the main sessions are going to happen in the Emerald Theater, which is here. And the sponsors and some of the exhibitors will be here. So from there, you've got all the green lines is where we're setting up tents for food. So a lot of the partnerships that we have with the restaurants that are downtown will be setting up tents out there. There'll be spaces to eat at High Tops. And then the second main session tent for outdoors will be back here over by O'Halloran's Public House. So we have basically everything that's highlighted, all those streets closed in downtown Mount Clemens. There'll be a few fire lanes and things that we got to keep open, but for the most part, we are taking over the city. So any questions about that? Davin, there's a quick question that came in from Jennifer about deadlines to committing to exhibit and content for the virtual booth. Maybe Scott, you can comment on the content for the virtual booth and when you got to have that by.
Yeah, we haven't set a firm deadline yet.
Probably
so I don't have a specific answer.
2 or 3 weeks ahead of the summit.
Would May 1st be a good, I mean, it's 11 days. Is May 1st a good solid date, Scott?
I think that would be a good solid date.
Yeah. So I would say May 1st from a virtual standpoint. for the in-person standpoint, I think we only have 5 booth spaces left for in-person. And I think there was a question about cost. The cost for in-person and virtual is the same. It's $2,000 for all 3 days. And that includes 2 tickets to the summit in person or virtually, and access to all of the content for 30 days post summit. But in person, I believe we have 5 spaces remaining, and online is pretty much unlimited. I think we have 100 exhibitors online. But I think May 1st, if you're looking to be online and commit content, is a good date. In person, we would need to know at ASAP. There's only a few spots left for in person. Good question.
Very good. Thanks, Jennifer. What other questions are out there? Roger had asked a question about spaces for the in-person booths. I think we're going to try to be putting a map together very soon with the tent company on the layout and where the spaces are. So that should be available soon.
Very good.
I have a question, final one for me. Davin, you made a great point about, swag and people, seeing the purpose of your company and whatnot. For the virtual booths, is there a place for people to display possibly some download links to, a company's, brochure or any tangible things like that?
Scott?
Yeah. One option you have, I'm going to reshare real quick. So if you can see this now, over here where you have the long description for your booth, that can be a place where you can put a link or two that can be copied and pasted into an attendee's browser for virtual swag, as it were.
So is that an HTML block so we can embed HTML in there?
You're putting me on the spot on that one. I don't remember offhand, but I'm going to write down your question and I will get an answer back to Adam and Davin.
Okay, thank you.
And it looks like you have a couple of options with regard to some social links and even a website link right above that.
Yes, that is correct.
So we could, Dwayne, if we wanted to put different links there, we can. And then you have the visit our website button at the bottom there. That could be the other call to action. So.
Yeah. That's a really good, basically long business card for a business right there with the logo, all your social links, display of who you are, any event swag that you want, discounts, and then obviously the link to your website. So, and the other piece of this is, Scott, can you remind us post summit, once the platform is over, is there any retention of any of this information or access to it on Hopin post summit?
Yes, so Hopin will generate reports at our request for exhibitor booths on connections, interactions that you have made.
Very good. I knew that was a capability of it too. So for those of you who were looking at some reporting and obviously connections you've made, interactions during the summit, to follow up, those types of things, those reports can be generated post summit for you. Another new message. Any other questions?
And I think there was a question from Greg about parking. Let me just share my screen real quick, just so people can kind of get an idea on where this is at. Parking is actually right here. So it is very, very close. So, but we're going to encourage a lot of people to carpool because parking is limited to this section. And once that fills up, this parking lot back here will actually be metered. So you'd have to pay for parking. I think it's like 85 cents an hour or so.
But the front parking lot is also metered, but we're going to have those meters for the summit. I think there's 200 some parking spaces that we have allocated for that they're going to shut the meters off of. And if we need to, there's actually additional parking in other lots that we could look at if there's need. That will be kind of day of decisions based off of amount of cars. So that's probably a question we didn't answer. So right now we're limited to 300 people inside the Emerald Theater and 300 people outside the Emerald Theater at any given time due to COVID restrictions. We are hoping that on April 19th that number might change. And in terms of in-person actual tickets, there's only a handful of in-person actual tickets left because of those limitations. We will make an announcement that there are more if capacity increases in April. But right now there's a few dozen in-person tickets left for those 3 days. And the other piece of that is from a virtual in-person. Some people are like, well, what happens if I need to go virtual? So you could, if you have an in-person ticket and you need to go virtual all the way up until the summit, we are making those conversions available as well. So it's not like if you choose to be in person, then you decide to go virtual, that we can't make that switch. We can certainly make that switch to accommodate anybody who needs to all the way up to the day of the summit.
And I'm going to circle back real quick, follow up on the earlier question about what information you get from your booth after the event's over. There are 3 reports that Hopin will generate per booth, and that's a booth summary, which honestly doesn't give you very much information other than how many people showed up. But the important ones you get will be a download of the entire chat, and then a download list of all user interactions.
Awesome.
Great. And we'll be providing all of the sponsors and the exhibitors the summary of the attendees as well, Devin, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And one thing I have seen exhibitors do in past events is if there's a desire for follow-up, you can ask your people who visit your booth to put their email address in the chat. So then when you get that chat summary, you have a list of email addresses embedded in that chat for future follow-up.
Very good.
Can I ask a question? I think this is for you, Scott, and you may have answered this already. In the virtual booths, if you have, I don't know, let's say you have hundreds of exhibitors, how do you cycle it? You know, because when you go to exhibit halls, it's like whoever sits next to the front door gets the most people, right? So how do you manage that from a virtual standpoint?
There are 2 things we can do. One, Hopin offers multiple sizes of booths. And then the other way is Hopin will allow us to do a priority list. So depending on how, the Purpose Point has organized their sponsors and exhibitors, they can then give me instructions on this booth needs to always be at the top, or this booth needs to be larger than everyone else, or whatever the case may be. And then I can set those priorities accordingly.
Yeah, Jennifer, the way the screen will actually look, if you're staring at it, is you will have obviously the main session here, and then when you click on whether it's Expo or whatever the case is, the main sponsors of the event will have slightly bigger box than the exhibitor boxes. So imagine your screen kind of having maybe 3 columns, if you will, right? And then there's 3 large boxes across the top for the main sponsors. And then, maybe the next tier sponsorship, now there might be 4 boxes that take up the same amount of spaces that those 3 did. And then the exhibitor ones, maybe there's 5 or 6, and those are all the same size, right? And quite frankly, we will, as far as the exhibitors, we'll probably list the exhibitors in the order in which they signed on to be an exhibitor of the summit. So kind of like the very first one that signed up will have that first space and so forth and so on. But the sponsors will always be listed at the top in order based off of their sponsorship size.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Other questions that we want to field regarding either virtual or the summit in general? One, this should have already been in the information that you received in an email from Lisa. Lisa, by the way, can send you a summary email if you want to contact her, lisa@purposepoint.com. But we do have one email with everything in it, from here's what the summit is, here's the theme of the 3 days, here's the agenda for the 3 days, here is travel accommodation links on where to stay, different hotels, where to fly in, directions, all the different, everything that you possibly need to know is in that email. We can send that out to you. But one thing that we constantly get asked about is the agenda. And even though that's in the email, I'll just kind of reiterate that, is the summit registration opens at 8 o'clock. Exhibitors are going to be asked to be there as early as 7:30 to set up your tents. You don't have to be. You can be there when you want to be there, but you'll be asked to be there as early as 7:30 so that as people are showing up at registration at 8 o'clock, you can engage them before they go into general sessions. There will be coffee and donuts and beignets and bundt cakes along the streets. So people will be getting coffee and walking along the streets in the morning. And then they need to be in the Emerald Theater 8:45 for opening comments. And then every session is on the hour mark. So there's a 9 o'clock general session, a 10 o'clock, an 11 o'clock with a 15-minute break in between each session. So each session is 45 minutes long with a 15-minute break. That also means from a virtual standpoint that people will literally have 15 minutes after each general session to peruse around the exhibitor booths. So that's also something to consider from a staffing standpoint, is you might want to have your video in your video booth from say 9 to 9:45, but then you might want to have someone in there live from 9:45 to 10. And then the same thing from 10:45 to 11 and from 11:45 to 12 and so forth and so on. So you might want to plan for staffing your booth virtually for that 15-minute break at the end of each hour. And then from 12 until 3 o'clock, there's no general session. Those are breakout sessions. There'll be breakout sessions virtually on the platform, breakout sessions at Oakland University, which is on that map south of everything we showed you, kitty corner from the Emerald Theater from 12 to 3. People can go to food tents, walk the exhibitor halls. And then at 3 o'clock and at 4 o'clock, they're back in the Emerald Theater for general sessions again. With those same breaks at 3:45 and then us wrapping up comments at 4:45. And it's the same schedule all 3 days, just different speakers, different content. So hopefully that helps you with some logistics, planning. You will need to take, if you're in person, you will need to take your tent down at 5 o'clock each day and bring it, pack it in your car or what have you, because again, it is outside. So we want to make sure that we're going to take all of the tables and chairs each day and put them inside the Emerald Theater lobby, and then each morning put them back out. So, but your own belongings, you'll want to set that up and take that down each day. Other thoughts, questions?
I put the link to the Purpose Summit exhibitors and sponsors page in the chat box. If anybody has any questions or concerns or wants to just reach out to us, you can visit that. You can always reach out to Lisa or myself, and it's pretty simple. Adam@purposepoint.com or Lisa@purposepoint.com. We're happy to field any questions.
All righty. Well, Scott, thank you for joining us and for all your work in helping us put on this year's Purpose Summit. We look forward to partnering with you in this year and future summits to come. And Adam and Lisa, thank you so much for all of your supportive work and pulling this all together and helping us as we go down these next 50 days here towards the start of Purpose Summit 2021. And thank you all for attending today and for participating in the summit in some capacity. We look forward to amplifying who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And I'll just turn it back over to Adam for any final remarks that you may have. And Lisa.
Thank you guys. And again, thank you, Scott. I did record this. The recording will be up on YouTube probably in the next 15 minutes or so. So I will put that on LinkedIn in the LinkedIn event. If anybody needs to reference it or send it to a friend, it will be available. So thank you guys. Have a great, productive, purposeful week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you at Purpose Summit 2021.
Great job. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.